Good morning, class. How are you guys doing today? My name is Wankwa Chinedu John Wendy, and today we'll be looking at SQL trigger. What is SQL trigger? Now, a trigger, SQL trigger, is a stored procedure in database which automatically invokes whenever a special event in the database occurs. Now, what this SQL trigger does is that here in this tutorial, we create a trigger um, for the TBL faculty. Now, for a trigger, we can actually write a SQL trigger code to be able to monitor every tables you have in your database in terms of if an event for data manipulation language occur or an event for data definition language occur. But here in this tutorial, we are going to do a trigger for just one table. And what we're actually doing is to check any data manipulation language events that occur in our TDL faculty table. And what we're doing is for insert, update, and delete. So I will repeat the definition again. So a trigger is a stored procedure in database which automatically invokes whenever, now for our own tutorial, whenever a special insert, update, and delete events occur in our TBF faculty table. So when any of these events occur, what the trigger will do for us is to take these records and save them in a log table. Now, the essence of trigger is you can actually use it for your auditory, you can actually for your log, where it records every activities. Now, every legal and illegal activities of your system. Because there are some situations in systems where um, they might have missing records, right? Now, for them to be able to check who did that will be very difficult. Um, why there are some situations, if you keep track of all the records in your database and someone or admin deletes that record, now, there should be a situation, there should be a function, a procedure where these records should be encrypted and only done by the owner or the chief administrator to be able to have access to your audit log. All information should be encrypted, but that is not the tutorial for today. Tutorial for today is just to create a trigger for just one table. It's just to monitor the activities going on in table. If it's legal or illegal, it will show the activities and to show that particular user that actually uses that operation. But here in this system, we are going to show example because the username we'll use here is our machine name. Right? It's our machine name, but in a real life scenario, sometimes it might be a machine name, but sometimes it might be the particular unique name, like the email or your phone number that you use for registration. That is what can use to save as username to be able to monitor that particular user using that particular system to do that particular operation for a particular table or tables. So with that, now we are doing for we're creating a trigger for TBA faculty. The first thing I want to do is to select from TBA faculty. Okay, now you can see the feeds, the attributes here, which is the faculty ID. This is computed. Now this record ID is referencing this faculty ID. Now faculty name, faculty code, faculty description. This is the only three we'll look at. So today, what we do here, what I'll first of all do if I click on trigger is to create. Now you can see I want to create TBF faculty log. And the essence of this is that the trigger that will create all the information will be stored in the log for every event that is going on in TBF faculty table. So I'll start ID. Okay, guys. Now you can see these are all my columns here for TBF faculty log. I will explain now. This record is computed as a primary key. So every time a record is being inserted into this TBF faculty log, it should start with from one and increments by one. So we have the faculty ID, faculty name, faculty code, faculty description, updated at. We'll make this on the computed column also. So every time a record is inserted here, you should automatically get the date for us and look into the date function and just pass only dates to this to the record here. So the same thing with this one, checks the time function. Get date, no, this is the get date function. The check the data type is time, and what we do for us is only pass the time that the record has been inserted here. So this is the operation. Now we'll make it 20, shouldn't take less than 20. So we apply the check constraint for this, and the check constraint is you shouldn't take anything that's any value that is outside these three values for insert, delete, and operation. Although this is not necessary, but I just put it there just for to check constraints, but it's optional, right? So I will execute this. Okay, now we successfully create my TBF faculty log. Now it's time to create our trigger, right? Now that trigger, what our trigger will do is it checks if activity is going in TBF faculty table and saves them in this TBF faculty log. Oh, there's something I didn't do in this TBF faculty table. I didn't add the username because for the machine, so that it's every insertion we should be able to take the username for this machine. So I can do how can I do that? Since I've already executed this, or the quicker way, since there's no record, let me just drop this table. Uh, since I've dropped it, I will create. Let me just add the username. Okay, now I've had the username. Now this username is still a computed it's still computed because so every time we record and insert it here, what this will do is automatically takes the server name for this machine. It will just take this machine name or the server name to take it and store it automatically. So that's what I did here. So execute this again. So now we'll start to create our trigger. I will start now to create trigger for TBF faculty for insert, update, and delete. So when I write the code, after I finish writing the code, I will explain. So let's start. Okay, now I'm done with our trigger. Remain to execute the trigger. So I will explain. Now the first one says it's a create trigger. Now this is the syntax to create a trigger. Remember, create trigger is to start procedure. So when I say create trigger, automatically this thing, if I execute this now we will now have a name called faculty trigger for this function here. No, say create trigger on this TBL faculty. So we are creating this trigger on this TBL faculty table to be able to check every activity is going on TBL faculty table based on insert, update, and delete. That's why we have create trigger, TBL faculty trigger. You can call it your name, you can call it John, you can call it any name you want to call it on TBL faculty after insert, update, and delete. Now, if you check it, what it's trying to say is that after there's an insert, update, and delete function going on, after it is, then do this for me and store it in the do after there's an insert operation going on, insert events or update events or delete event going on, then store the records inside the TBL faculty log and who is actually doing that operation, which we have used the username to get the machine name. So as begin, we begin. Normally, it is, even though we didn't use this begin and end, your function will still work while we're using just to have a clean code, right? So set no count on. So what the set no count on is to prevent a message from being triggering. So each time an insert or update or delete function is going on, what is set no count on, set no count, set no messages on. Mm? So now we move on to our SQL code. Now we have explained that when you are creating a trigger, we create a trigger on this. Now the trigger is check for event for TBL faculty. If there's an event going on after the insert update, and now if event has occurred, if an insert event have occurred, then save the insert events here for me. Or if an update event have occurred, save it for me in the updates. And if delete, save it for me. So that is the SQL query. So the first one says, if exist, select from inserted. Hmm? And not exist, select from deleted, which means that we are only doing for inserted, but we're not doing for deleted. So we begin. Now we say insert into the TBL faculty log. This is where we are putting all the records we're actually monitoring the events that's going on in TBL faculty. So this is the faculty ID, faculty name, faculty code, faculty description, and the operation. So we key in all the values, which is select from the inserted as I, which is I.faculty ID. So the faculty ID that will be inserted into this TBL faculty, take it from me and store it in TBL faculty log, and so on. The faculty name, faculty code, faculty description. And since it's an insert operation, by default, I just key in an insert operation. Remember, this value here should match what is here because we have applied a constraint here. If not, it will return error for us, right? So I've done for insert, the same applies to delete. So you can see the function here, if not exist, select from, if not exist, which if insert is not existing, and if delete is existing, then you should select from deleted. You can see it. I'm passing that, uh, okay, let me just use, since what did I use here? Delete. So this will not work. Move this. Delete. Update will not work also. I'll move this. So you should pass in the values here. Any delete operation, any delete event that is being triggered, you should be able to store that events here in the trivial faculty log. The same applies to update. So I will execute this now. Don't worry about the error showing. If I remove this, it's free. Error will go off. Look at it. So, you need that. So I'll execute this now. Successfully execute this. So let's test if our trigger will actually work. So what I will do now is I will insert the table into insert record to be a faculty. I will check my log and also check to be a faculty now and see how the trigger works for insert. So start. Okay, we just one record to execute this. Okay, one will affected. I'll select faculty. Now you can see that I've stored one record here in the faculty table. Now let's check our TBA faculty log and see what's actually is going on. So you can see how the TBA faculty log works now. You can see the username, it has been the machine name for us, faculty ID is one. You can see it stored all the values for us with this, and it says check the operation, and the operation is insert. Updated at and updated time insert. So what we want to do now, we want to do for updates as our next event. So let's start. Okay, one will affected. I've done for updates, so let's check our TBA faculty again. Now you can see it have updated, it has changed the values to John, and people. So let's check our TBA faculty log. Now you can see our TBA faculty log has recorded the activities here. So you can see that the operation here is update. You can see it has changed the faculty ID to John. Now it's monitoring it and see that it's the same username that did these two operations. So we do for delete. I will do, I want to delete all the records here. I don't want to use a real query, I'll just use delete. Okay, I successfully delete that, so I'll check my select query. There's no record here, so I'll check my TBL faculty log. I can see John has been deleted. So you can see that we have delete operation. You can see the same username, delete John from it. So that's it, and that is how trigger works. It monitors all the activities. Now, this what we do here, we actually do it for one table, but you can actually write a trigger that works for all the tables here, that will monitor every activities of the tables here. Mm. Every activities and all the values have been changed, have been modified, and so on. You can actually write the SQL and trigger here, but this is just a simple step for beginners, so you can be able to know how trigger works. Now there are so many things we can use trigger for. We can actually use because there's some situation whereby let's say we have a table here and you delete this record three or you delete record two. So what you can create a trigger that can actually check. Now if the record is deleted, if a record is removed from here, then start the record ID. If because this record ID is computed, start it from from the correct number instead of starting from four because MSSQL and some other RODBMS systems uh, have some flops whereby if you delete this tree, so the next record will start from four instead of three. So you can create a trigger for that to reset it. Right? So you can do trigger for so many things. So many things. Trigger is so powerful. But the main essence of trigger is to monitor every activity is going on in your database. Right? So thank you. If you have any question, you can drop your question, you can ask a question. I'm always here to reply you. Thank you.